Tuketi, nashukuru sana. Hamjambo tena. Nimeshukuru, and I just want to continue encouraging you and to tell you that the future is bright. So, friends, as indeed I've been trying to say, the building of a nation is a continuous endeavor that requires every generation to make their contribution. Without a doubt, our forefathers secured the political freedom of our land and nation, paving the way for us as Kenyans to determine our social-economic destiny. Walking the social-economic liberation journey, therefore, which is the subject of what we have been talking about, is the shared task of our time. Let's look at the numbers. Again, as our friend here mentioned, about 75% of our population is below the age of 35. And this means that while as government we are contemplating and have made new policy decisions, it is ultimately completely imperative that we ensure that our youth are consulted regularly, that their interests and views are consistently taken on board as we make future policy decisions. And I want to state again that the BBI is about a better present and Kenya's best possible future. And the 75% of Kenyans who are under 35 are not just the present, but you also make up the future of Kenya. And so where we are heading is about you, your lives right now, and your lives in years to come. We're not going to say that we are going to fix Kenya by a single document or by a single administration. And that is why we're saying that this handshake principle needs to take root, and our young people must be involved in it. You must be able to reach out to each other, irregardless of your ethnicity, irregardless of your political affiliation, to ensure that your agenda takes center stage now and into the future. And that is why we're saying, when we talk of the principle of the handshake, it's not just a political philosophy, but rather a re-articulation of basic African truths that our forefathers had, that indeed we can compete without being enemies, and that in our diversity we are still one people, and that we all love our motherland, and all we want is for the best for Kenya and the best for her people. So this doctrine that we're talking about, reconciling with your opponents for the sake of Kenya every time the contest is over, it is about putting Kenya first above any partisan, ethnic, or other identifiers. One Kenya for all Kenyans. And you young people are the custodians, not only of today, but the future prosperity of our country. To sustain the pride of any nation, therefore, our young people must be empowered to step in at the right moment and to move on with the task of nation building. And a key aspect of empowerment starts with the love of your country, being patriotic young men and women of integrity, what I was talking about the military just now. Do not allow yourself to be bought at the expense of your country, and be disciples of complete zero tolerance to corruption. Indeed, all makers of change the world over started young. We can start with Martin Luther King, who died by the age of 39. By that time, he already led the Montgomery bus boycott. At the age of 34, he gave that speech that we still repeat today of "I have a dream." And at 35, he had received the Nobel Peace Prize. Why can't that be one of you? Steve Biko, who died at the age of 30, and he co-founded the Black People's Convention at the age of 26. Mandela himself helped form the ANC Youth Wing at age 26. Jomo Kenyatta started articulating the rights of his people at the age of 20. Patrice Lumumba died at the age of 36 and launched the Congolese National Movement. Died at the age of 36 and launched the Congolese National Movement and became the first Prime Minister of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Why can't that be you? Thomas Sankara was president of Burkina Faso, age 34. Lee Kuan Yew, one of the greatest prime ministers, was prime minister at the age of 36. It is you. You can be it. Go for it. And if we, 47 million strong, the young people of this world, you can claim your space, not as trend followers, but as trend setters. And you must use this moment as those who have been there before you in our history to organize yourselves, to renew our economy, and to build a prosperous nation. You must declare that the young people will not be organized by politicians, but by the needs that drive the youth agenda. They must see the opportunity and not the danger in the movement. They must become owners of capital by embracing the habit of saving. And indeed, to flatten the curve of unemployment, as was asked today, we must correct our Kenyan imperfections that drive investors away from our country, and our young people must take the lead. Recently, I was talking with members of the border sector, and I just gave them a few numbers. Border sector supports almost 5.2 million Kenyans on average, which is about over approximately 10% of our population. Between them, their industry makes 357 billion shillings a year, which is more than we disperse to our 47 counties, which now currently stands at 316 billion. Is the principle that you pay yourself first. Hata ukifanya kazi, panga kidogo uweke kando for tomorrow. And this is a principle that borrows from the fable of the richest man in Babylon, the man who, like all other laborers, but each time he received his wages, he set aside an amount for savings. Then he called it a payment to himself. And with time, this ritual of daily saving set him apart from all his friends until he became the richest man in Babylon. Indeed, with the border investment scheme, if you built it around this principle of paying yourself first, and if at the end of the day, each of the 1.4 million border operators pays themselves just 50 shillings in the form of daily savings, that total would amount to 70 million shillings a day. This would translate into 490 million shillings a week. This would total 1.96 billion shillings a month. You tell me which organization can raise that kind of money. That is 2 billion shillings a month. With 2 billion shillings, you can own your own petrol stations across the country, assembly plants. You can own banks. You can own manufacturing outlets. But this is only if you work together and you have that understanding of the principle of saving. Not living for today, but saving today for a better and brighter future. You know, many of the Kenyans who fought the liberation struggle were a generation in their 20s and 30s. Dedan Kimathi, Waruhu Itote, Muthoni Kirima, all these were young people. Those who also negotiated our independence at Lancaster were young people in their 30s. Many of them known to you, but you know them as old men. You don't know them as young when they were vibrant there, kwa sababu wengine hawakuwa wamezaliwa wakati hata hawakuamini. Wengine, anyway, let me not say that. Mboya was only 30. Nyayo, who passed on recently, was only 36 at the time. Bernard Mate was only 38. Masinde Muliro was 38. Kenneth Matiba was 34. Robert Ouko was 34. Josephat Karanja, who rose to become a vice president, was 34. Simeon Nyachai was 34 when he was a whole provincial commissioner. Titus Mbadi was 38 as a permanent secretary. Why can you not be there? Jameni, tusaidiane mufike hapo muanze leo. Yeah? But the truth of the matter is, you must be present. You must be in the arena for this to happen, not outside the arena watching. Mimi nataka kusema tu nikimalizia. We have an opportunity to retell the narrative of our country, and to retell it through your eyes, but only if you decide to enter the arena. If you decide that you are no longer going to be spectators but participants. If you decide that you want to take charge of your future. You have a great, 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 great future ahead of you, and ours is to support you. And I do hope through this particular program, Kenya Ni Mimi, you will take ownership of your country, and you will guide and lead it to future heights of prosperity, peace, and stability. Count on our support, and I wish you all God's blessings. Asante sana.